Hi, my name's Keith Cooper, and in this video I'm going to be doing a short Q&A based on questions I've been asked about the Epson ET8550. Now, the 8550 is an excellent printer. I've got a detailed review of it. I've got quite a lot of other videos I've produced about various aspects of using it, but I get asked a lot of questions about it. I'm always happy to answer questions on the comments for the videos, but there are certain themes that come through, so I thought I'd just put this together to try and address a few of those issues that I get asked fairly often. So the 8550 13-inch A3 Plus printer has an interesting mix of inks in that it has dye inks and a pigment black ink as well as a dye black ink. Now, come back to that as to why that's an important feature of the printer in a bit. But in general, questions I get asked about the front feed, for example. The front feed, as far as I'm concerned, is for, well, it will take CDs or DVDs, but who prints those these days, I'm going to ask. It's for storing plain paper. There is a smaller tray for small photo paper. What I would say is that these trays are for plain paper use and for thin photo paper. And I mean thin photo paper. Don't try and put any high quality photo paper through these front slots here, because they have to be turned a U-turn at the back through the duplexer unit. Don't even think of trying to print photos double-sided. If you want to do photos double-sided, you will need a double-sided media, of course, but they go in through the top here and you have to manually reverse them, which probably means you have to work out how to turn them round when you put them back in, because it's very easy to get that wrong. No, superficially people think, oh, well, it prints double-sided. Yes, it prints office paper double-sided. Copies, great if you want that, onto plain paper, not for photo paper. Essentially, for any quality media, it goes in through the back slot here. With the back slot, you can use custom paper sizes. There is a rear slot where if you take the duplexer unit out, you can get access to that as well. Now, I've covered that in how to print on card, on heavy card or poster board. But essentially, I would say nearly all the printing I did on this printer has been through the top here, whether that be for greetings cards, for longer prints, or just ordinary photo prints. So that's the paper feed on it. On the top feed here, I've had one or two people say they've seen marks on paper caused by rollers. Now, some papers are soft and easily marked going through a printer mechanism. It varies by printer, it varies by the particular the model and the actual printer as to just how things are set up. What I would say is that if you try a thick, soft-faced paper in this and you get some marks on it, try it with an Epson paper. If it marks an Epson paper, and this is a new printer, then contact Epson, because it shouldn't. If you ask Epson and you say, I'm using paper brand XYZ and I'm seeing marks on the paper, their answer is going to be to you, well, try an Epson paper. So, if you've got problems, make sure before you contact Epson you have actually tried using an Epson paper in it, because the printers are designed for their papers. Their papers are not any better because, you know, like many major manufacturers, they don't make their own papers. They get paper to their specifications and it's made with their label on it. So their printers should work with their papers. Just remember that if you have some problems with it. And you might want to. And I would say if you get problems with a printer, one of the slight issues with these printers today, with modern printers I've tested, is that they are so light that the parcels they come in are very light, and they are very prone to getting thrown around in the back of delivery vans. Now, I had a printer, not this one, but I have had a printer turn up for test, for review, and I could tell straight away there was a problem because there was a dent on the cardboard and the foam plastic inside was cracked. Yeah, the foam filling around it. just beware of the fact that what may have been a perfectly good printer out of the where it was shipped from has had to go through the shipping process, and lightweight boxes and busy delivery drivers don't make for the most careful of delivery. Just because you might handle your printer very carefully doesn't mean somebody's going to handle a cardboard box that's coming to your house in the same way. Check that when you get it. If you have problems, check with your manufacturer or check with Epson or your supplier. It depends where you are as to what the sort of best return route is for it. It happens with the best of printers. I test a lot of printers, so I see it occasionally. It's why if I get a printer, I don't blame the printer to start with if there's a fault. I've had enough printers over the years that have been damaged in transit. They're well packed, but that's no proof against the most dedicated delivery drivers. Now, media choices. I mentioned the inks. Now, this printer has ink tanks, and that's one of the popular bits about the printer. Dye-based inks, most of them, except one which is a pigment black ink. Now, this is unusual in mixing pigment and dye inks. And what it means is that certainly if you print documents and you print on plain paper, black comes from the black ink here, and it prints very well on document papers. That's great for that. Something some dyes have difficulty with. It gives you better looking text on it, or black text I should say, since that's the only pigment ink in this. It means that the characteristics of this printer, in that how it behaves with different papers, is subtly different to many other printers. Now, what I would say is to get best photo results, you need paper profiles. Now, some manufacturers, some paper suppliers are starting to produce profiles for this printer. Some paper suppliers, and I know several in the UK, if you buy some paper off them, they will let you print a test target, send it off to them, and they will make you a custom profile. That's the way to get the best results out of this printer. Because the ink mix, and I meant the black pigment ink, that makes a difference for some papers. So if I choose the Velvet Fine Art VFA media setting, some black of the pigment black is mixed in at dark colours, and blacks, to give a more intense look. Now that works on some art papers. If you print photo papers, luster paper, Barita for example, you're going to be just using the dye inks, and the characteristics are quite different there. Now that depends on the media setting and the profile you're using. So what I'm saying is, yes, you can get great results from this, but you need profiles. Now, if you have a look at the written review I've done for this printer on the Northlight Images website, you'll see a big long list of papers for which I've produced profiles for. Now, if you drop me an email with either specific requests or whatever for the profiles, they are free for non-commercial use. If you want to use them commercially, well, also drop me an email, but they may not be free. Remember, I'm a professional photographer and I've not had much work over the last few years, so due to the pandemic, and things like this do make a difference. I need to put food on the table. However, they're free for most people, certainly if you want to use them commercially. I don't charge much for them even commercially. But what does all this stuff about profiles mean? Well, it means that with a printer like this, if you're new to it, don't just go off, pick a paper because you like the name, it's a big manufacturer, it's a famous paper, you think it should be good. Somebody on a forum somewhere or at your camera club has said, oh, this is a great paper. Check whether it's supported with profiles. Now, I always suggest with every new printer, try some paper from the manufacturer. So for this, I would try some Epson paper. If it was a Canon printer, I'd be trying some Canon paper. Just to start off with, you don't need much, it could be some small paper, to get the hang of using the printer and to know that it's actually working properly. So basically, do not pick your papers before you pick your printer. It's the wrong way round. What you need to do is you pick your printer and then you find the papers that work best in it. And the fact that they're a famous name on the box makes no difference whatsoever. It's about what the paper is and the profiles that make all the importance there. Few other little bits and pieces just to round off. Dye sub inks. Can I convert this printer to dye sub inks? Well, you could try when you start it up. You could put some dye sub inks in it. I wouldn't. It'll, you know, void your warranty for starters. I'm sure some people will try it, and some people will happily sell you inks for it, but do it at your own risk. And I would not vouch for the long-term reliability of the printer if you've put a completely different type of ink into it. Who knows, it might work, it might not. Depends whether you've got a printer you want to spare, trying and finding out. I'll finish off on a bit about software. When you've installed the printer drivers, if you install them on a Mac, do make sure you've not accidentally selected the AirPrint version. Now, I cover this in setup articles and various other things, but if you find that your printer driver doesn't have a lot of settings you're expecting, this is on a Mac, make sure you're not using AirPrint. There should be a proper driver for it as well. And lastly, have a look at the Epson print layout software, the EPL software. I used it quite a lot. I use it for testing. This is one of the sort of test images I use because it has some very strong colours, it has some gradients in it, it shows up profilability, and it also shows that, and this is a glossy paper, you can get very nice results from the printer. And that's it. So there you go, there's the 8550. If you've got any more questions, please do ask in the comments. Please do subscribe to the channel. I cover lots of other things, not just printers, so it will vary as to what I'm publishing depending on what I'm doing. But I have got another printer coming back from Epson on Wednesday of this week, when they are going to swap this one. I'm not allowed to live in a printer warehouse, and I certainly can't afford to buy lots of printers. They're going to swap this one back for the P700 that I did a review for a while ago, because I only had that for a short while, and it's just coming back for some more testing, so I shall be doing some videos concerning using the Epson P700 and P900 coming up. But anyway, thank you very much, and thank you.